Our main topic of the show today is relocation. Okay, so I've got a couple facts and tips of relocation that I found really interesting that I think you guys and you, our listeners, will as well. So get this. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 14.19% of all Americans move each year. Okay, so there's roughly 300 million Americans, right? What is, I didn't even do this math before. What is 14 point? I'll get back to that fact in a second. The average American moves 11.4 times in their lives.
That's a lot.
That's
more than I would have expected, and maybe more than the average in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, because I was thinking about how many times I've moved. I'm almost 32 years old, and I've moved probably about 12 times. You may say I'm an unstable character for that, but listen, I just, I didn't know where I wanted to live when I was younger, and I was just bouncing around, experiencing it all. But guess what? That helped me as a real estate professional, because there's not much I don't know in Rhode Island.
And you do move more when you're younger, I think, as you age and start to develop roots and children in school systems. You don't see nearly as many people moving around as often.
Yeah, no, and Mike, our producer, thank you so much. You're always there to save the day. There's 332,762,018 Americans on record. That doesn't include anybody not on record. There's probably about 400 million people here, I would have to say. But so, all right, so let's take that number and let's find out what 14.19% is, and is that right? Is that 47 million Americans move annually?
Wow.
That's a lot of people. This is a huge topic, okay, especially for our listeners, because a lot of our listeners on air are baby boomers, right? And 70% of baby boomers, I don't know if you guys knew this, 70% of baby boomers, approximately 52.5 million, own a home here in the United States. It was noted that wealthy individuals stay put longer, probably because folks, and it says only 7% of folks that made over $100,000, moved, compared to 13% of Americans who made under $5,000 per year. So,
well, that demographic, if you're only making $5,000 a year, is probably starting out or college, part-time kids.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, I've got this chart in front of me, and I think it's pretty cool. It's from, what website is this from? I got it from keepingcurrentmatters.com and the Tax Foundation, okay? And we're comparing how far $100 goes across the country in different states. I thought this was pretty interesting. So, especially our folks that are moving down south, it is a bit cheaper down there, but how much? Now, before we go into the hot spots that people are moving, let's talk about the top three that are the cheapest places to relocate. Okay, number one on the list, Mississippi. We're $100, and I don't even know if that's a good Southern accent, but $100 actually equals $115.34. And then number two, we have Arkansas, where $100 equals about $114.29. And then we have Alabama, where $100 equals $113.90. So I believe they get this from your your rent, your home ownership, your food, and where that money kind of stretches.
And it's certainly something from a relocation perspective. If people are doing it because they're downsizing or retiring, they need to be able to stretch those dollars, because now they're potentially going to be on a fixed income.
The top three most expensive places, you probably guessed it, Washington, D.C., where $100 only equals $84.67. That's crazy. That's
sad.
It is sad, right?
Sad that there's a currency conversion in our country.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, but you know what? I would think that, folks in that area are getting paid more. Like number two on the list, Hawaii. $100 equals $85.62. And New York, of course, New York's super expensive, right? New York, where $100 equals $86.43. Money doesn't go so far in those three states.
I mean, what's of note with those three cities?
Washington,
I guess
D.C.
is not a state, right?
Yeah,
What's noteworthy is those are, the three states you're most likely to find tourists.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right. So you have all these people coming in with their out-of-state dollars, and it's like, well,
True.
let's take it when they get here.
I'm surprised Boston didn't hit that list. So we move a lot of people. We do a ton of relocation. Actually, between the three of us, we've all done a lot of it. So the top 4 places where people are relocating that I've seen, Florida, where $100 equals $100.97. So that's not so bad. It's pretty affordable, right? And Arizona, you're basically, your $100 is going to stretch to $103.73. And then the Carolinas, North Carolina, $109.05. Check that out. That's crazy. And South Carolina, $110.50. $110.50 is what your $100 will equal. And that's why we see a lot of folks relocating down there, because if you can get the same type of house for 10, 20, 30% less down there, that's unreal.
Not to mention, you can identify a climate change from Rhode Island to all of those communities.
You don't even need
true.
a shovel.
You don't.
But you know something, in looking at that, I had a question posed to me this week, and I want to ask you how you would advise a client, right?
Please.
Because this never got posed to me quite this way before. The woman in my community wants to sell her house and move to Florida.
Okay.
Right, which sounds great. Yeah, I'm happy to sell your house. Happy to find you a way to move down to Florida. But what she asked me was, should she rent down there for a year and keep her house here just to see if she likes it?
That's a good question.
Because a lot of times I always said to myself after I went to Aruba one time, I'm moving to Aruba. This is the greatest place.
Yeah.
But what they're probably not going to do if you buy a property in Aruba is, fold the towel on your bed and give you housekeeping, and there's probably not going to be, all-inclusive living, right? So sometimes people go to Florida, like Florida, but don't really live there because they're in the tourist area. So how do you know you're really going to like your neighbors or going to like the town that you're selecting? So when she asked me that question,
Or the humidity.
I told her, let me think about it, because I have to help her find a relocation agent down there anyway. So I did have time, but I was curious about your thoughts on how you would advise in that.
Well, actually, that later on in the show, we were going to talk about some relocation tips if we have time, but let's just go over that answer right now, that question right now. So here's the thing. If you've never been down there, if you haven't experienced, the weather, the people, the surroundings, the whole environment, you should probably go down there and travel. You should pick your top 3 places, maybe 3 different states, and make a short vacation out of it. Go down there, check it all out. If you're looking to retire, you want to make the right decision, okay? But also, you want to make sure that you're hitting the market at a good time when selling. So when you're selling at a high market like we're in now, and when you're buying down there, yeah, it's a little high, but the rates are super low. So you got all that savings on the table there. What is it going to look like next year? We don't know. We anticipate. But so I guess to answer your client's question, or your prospective client's question, TJ, I would say don't sign a listing agreement until you are absolutely sure you want that to work for you, that you want to go down there, if that makes any sense.
'Cause my fear is that if she sells her house, there's no going back. I mean, once it's sold, right? So now you go down there, you realize you don't like it, you got to come back here. Who knows? You may end up paying more money for less of a house in 2 years when you make your decision.
Yes.
I mean, you might miss your grandkids that much, so you want to come back in 6 months. Who knows? And it was an interesting question. I thought it was a very good question. Made me think an awful lot about it.
Yeah. Melissa, what do you think?
Well, I think that there's a couple of things to consider. Certainly, vacation is not the same as having to work in 90-degree heat and doing the routine. Although some people are retiring, there may not be a routine per se. But what are you going to do with the house here in Rhode Island if you're not selling it and you're going to relocate for a year? Are you renting that property? Because that can have some special tax ramifications.
And it could get destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, certainly once you convert an a primary residence into an investment property, now the client has to be considering capital gain ramifications, potential non-resident withholding taxes. So there's a lot of variables that contribute to the decision, but I think one is the personal. Do I know I'm ready to live in Florida or wherever I'm relocating to before I pull the trigger and sell my property? Or can I afford to keep the property here in Rhode Island while I test the market down in Florida to see I do love it?